Hello everyone and welcome to my forum. Today I want to talk about the topic of rejection because this is a sensitive area and we all need to learn how to deal with rejection and how to overcome rejection. Rejection is a feeling of being unwanted. So you have that feeling that people do not want you. It can be anyone, it can be your family, your friends, people you consider to be friends, but you get that feeling that it's like they don't want you. It's also a feeling of being dismissed or being excluded or secluded or abandoned. All these are describing that feeling of rejection. Basically, you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you don't fit in. If that's how you feel most of the time, you probably are dealing with rejection. So rejection is a soul wound. It's a wound in the soul that makes people feel like they are not wanted, they don't belong. It's a wound in the soul and usually has its origin back in childhood. What are the signs of rejection? One of the signs is that people avoid you or they don't want to be associated with you. If you find that people avoid you, or if you approach people, it's like they pull back, they don't want anything to do with you, you may be dealing with rejection. So basically you try to approach people, but you get that feeling that they are excluding you or they are secluding you and you feel like you don't belong. That's the first sign. The next thing is that you face mockery from people. Maybe because of the way you dress or how you look. Mockery can come because of anything. You see people laughing at you, people mocking you, and you get that deep sense in your soul that you don't belong and wonder, why do these people laugh at me? Why do they mock me? That's a sign of rejection. The other thing is that you become the subject of people's gossip. People go and talk about you. They go and gossip with their friends, with their circles about you. And then maybe whatever they were saying gets back to you. And you wonder, why would people say what they were saying about you? You become the subject of people's gossip. That's a sign that you may be dealing with rejection. The next thing is that you face extreme criticism and people look down on you. People criticize you for what you do, for how you behave, for maybe how you look. Criticism can be due to anything, but people heavily criticize you and you start feeling like you don't belong. You start feeling like you are unwanted. That's another sign. Another thing is that you struggle with feelings of unworthiness, low self-esteem, and shame. You feel like you are not worthy. Your self-esteem goes low and you deal with shame. Shame is basically a feeling of feeling like there's something wrong with you. When people reject you so much, you start feeling like maybe there's something wrong with you. You will start saying, is there something wrong with me? Why do people run away? Why do people walk away? Why do people criticize me? You start to question yourself and you start dealing with that feeling of shame. The next thing is that you have lost your identity or you don't know who you are. Because of that struggle with rejection, you end up losing your identity and you try to look for your identity in people's acceptance or validation. Basically, you lose your identity and you start struggling with not knowing who you are. The other thing is that you become a people pleaser and a perfectionist. This is like a survival mechanism, you know, to try and help you feel like you are accepted. And so you start trying to please people, trying to do what they want, trying to behave like how people want you to behave or how you think they want you to behave. You become a perfectionist. You try to reach that level of perfection, and you see, you know, it evades you. Keep trying to please people, but it seems like it's never enough. You struggle with perfectionism and people pleasing. That's a sign of rejection. The other thing is that you build up emotional walls and you have difficulty relating with people or establishing healthy relationships. Because of that constant rejection, you build a wall around you because you don't want to experience that pain of being rejected. Your walls go up, and then you have that difficulty opening up to people. You have difficulty establishing healthy relationships, and now it becomes a self-perpetuating negative cycle. Those are the signs of rejection, some of the signs of rejection. Let's go to the root causes of rejection. What causes a person to start experiencing rejection? What brings in rejection into a person's life? Number one is that you lacked acceptance, originating probably from your childhood. Maybe you are rejected by your parents or your caregivers. Maybe you are someone who your parents gave up for an adoption, or maybe they thought you were a mistake. They had not planned for you, and that instilled in you that sense of being rejected, that sense of being unwanted. So it starts very early for most people. Or you are rejected by your peers growing up. They excluded you. They didn't want anything to do with you, and that planted the seed of rejection in your heart. Another thing that can cause rejection is maybe you have unique characteristics that make you stand out from other people. It may be because of how you look, or maybe because of your personality style. There's something unique about you that people cannot relate to. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just that majority of people are not able to relate with you. That unique aspect of you may make people start pulling back. That makes it hard for you to relate with others, and it makes others feel like it's difficult to relate with you. So others tend to avoid you because you seem different. So yeah, if you have a uniqueness about you, if you have something unique about you, even a certain gift, the enemy can use that to make you feel rejected, to plant a seed of rejection in your heart, because you feel like you are not able to relate with other people. The other cause is childhood trauma. I had mentioned this, but if you were abused as a child or you are neglected, this can plant rejection in your heart. Because as children, there's something children need. They need that acceptance, they need that nurturance from their caregivers, and if you don't receive that, you may start struggling with that feeling of being rejected. So rejection can also be spiritual and can be due to that spirit of rejection. There's that spirit called the spirit of rejection. And when this spirit comes in, it starts to make you feel like you don't belong, that you don't fit in. And the devil can use any means to try and introduce rejection in your life through your childhood experiences or through any life experiences that you have had. And he may use that to introduce rejection into your life. So rejection is spiritual, it can be associated with that spirit of rejection, and so you need to deal with it spiritually, because spiritual things are dealt with spiritually. What are the consequences of rejection? If you are someone who has gone through rejection over and over again, what are the consequences? One of it is that it drives a person's self-esteem low. It lowers your self-esteem. You start feeling like you are not worthy. You start feeling like you are inferior. You start feeling like other people are better than you because of the constant rejection that you face in your life. The other consequence is self-isolation and loneliness. So you isolate yourself because whenever you try to interact with people, they tend to reject you or exclude you. And so you resort to keeping to yourself, isolating yourself, and that may lead to loneliness creeping into your life. Another thing, it can cause anxiety, depression, and other mental health problems. Because you are not accepted by the people you desire acceptance from, that can negatively impact your mental health, because acceptance is very important for us human beings. And so if you are constantly experiencing rejection after rejection, that can lead to negative experiences, negative mental health impact in your life. Another thing, it can lead to anger, it can lead to bitterness, resentment. All these things can build up in your heart. Anger towards people who reject you. You become bitter because maybe you are trying to please people, but they don't appreciate what you do for them. You build that anger, builds up the resentment, the bitterness. And so the devil uses the rejection as a doorway to enter into your heart. The other thing is that it can lead to relationship breakdowns, because maybe you enter a relationship with that sense of maybe this person will reject me, and so it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle where you fear rejection and then you end up experiencing rejection, and you're not able to form healthy relationships with people. So how do we overcome rejection? How can you overcome rejection if you see or think that there's that spirit of rejection or rejection is operating in your life? How can you overcome it? Number one, you can build your self-confidence and have self-compassion. Have compassion for yourself and start to build self-confidence. Understand that you are worthy, you are a person of worth, you have things that you can offer this world, you have strengths, there's something that you can offer to the people around you. So start building that confidence. Then change your thought patterns. Try to see how you think about yourself, about other people, about the world. Are your thoughts mainly negative or are they positive? Because rejection can plant a negative thought pattern where you think about yourself negatively. You might start criticizing yourself. So you need to observe your thought patterns and start changing your thoughts. The next thing, you need to understand the root cause of rejection in your life. Where did rejection in your life originate from? Where did it come from? Because there is usually a root cause. There's somewhere that the enemy planted that rejection in your life. There's something that happened. There's something maybe that you experienced that planted that seed of rejection in your life. So it's good to introspect and try to find out where rejection came from. Therapy in this case can help because you are dealing with someone who is a professional and also someone who is objective, and so they can help you to analyze your life and see where the rejection might have come in from, so that you can start changing your life. Then invest in yourself and personal growth. Work on your weaknesses. Try to find out your weak points and improve on that. And then try to find your strengths and maximize on your strengths. Because for every one of us, we have strengths, and it's good to maximize on those strengths. If you have gifts, talents, start using those gifts to help you and also to help other people in your life. Finally, you have to realize that it's a spiritual battle, and you have to put on the full armor of God. We are living in a world where the devil comes in to try and kill, steal, and destroy. And one of the ways that he uses is by introducing rejection in people's lives. And so you have to understand that you are dealing with an enemy, and deal with that enemy in a spiritual way and engage in that battle while putting on the full armor of God, so that you can be able to defeat the enemy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I believe you have gained something from today's discussion. If you see that there's rejection in your life, try and introspect and try to understand, where did this rejection come from, and then seek professional help. It can be from a therapist, it can be from a coach. Get the help that you need so that you rise above rejection and you defeat it completely. May God bless you.